friend, Roger Christofferson here again with another first listen review. Not a whole heck of a lot coming out this week, so I just kind of decided that there was a few reissues and stuff coming out that I would give a listen to of bands maybe that I would not normally have listened to. This one being Paul McCartney and Wings, their album Band on the Run. It was reissued with a little bonus thing called the underdubbed mixes, which, in case nobody knows what an overdub is, because it's kind of a play on the word overdub, just for those of you who don't know, like when a band records, like back in these days, they would go in and record a bunch of stuff, like live in the studio together, and then in additional parts, like in this one, there's a lot of orchestration that was added afterwards, backup vocals, maybe a guitar part here and there, just, whatever else is added on after the main recording was called an overdub. That's kind of like what the play on the word is here is the underdub. This is the recording of just them before any of the overdubs were done. So just because I am part of the creative process with any of the bands I've been involved with, it was kind of, I thought, maybe interesting to go check out what this would have sounded like. I'm not a huge follower of Paul McCartney, quite honestly, although my favorite song of Wings is on this album. It's Jet. That's like a song I've always kind of really loved. The song Band on the Run is also a very cool song, which I've always enjoyed. And of course, on this album originally was the Hell on Wheels, which they included on here, which was not originally supposed to be part of the album, I guess. And it does sound a lot different. Actually, going back and listening to it, because I have this album, but I can't even tell you the last time I listened to it. So it was a lot of fun to go back and listen to it. And I did this one. I popped on the headphones and sat back and gave it a really just good listen. And I always start with the extra stuff. I never go back and listen to the first one first. But it was kind of funny because I'm glad I did it that way this time, because the running order is a little different, I guess, than the original as well, because this is the way the songs were recorded. So this is kind of how they left it. And my understanding of it anyway. But it was definitely interesting hearing actually how good these guys are, like on the first run-throughs and first takes. Just amazing musicians. And, Paul McCartney, maybe I haven't given him as much credit as I should, especially as a bass player. But the funny part was when I was listening to this, and I was like, yeah, this is cool and everything, I never noticed that the bass sounds out of tune to me. And when I went back and I listened to what was released originally with all the orchestration and stuff, I was like, oh yeah, it kind of is, but it doesn't really sound that bad even in the mix. But that was the only bad thing. I think there was one other flub in one of these other songs, like a word flub that they went back and fixed. But quite honestly, there wasn't really anything that was really wrong or bad with these underdubbed versions of it. I found it interesting without the orchestration on Band on the Run, where it switches parts and it picks up to the more upbeat part. It's really kind of jarring without the extra stuff there to smooth it out. And it actually made me, I'm not a fan of orchestration, so it actually made me appreciate the orchestration. I like strings and violins and stuff like that, but horns for some reason have just never been a thing I've really cared for that much. And then there's a lot of horns and the stuff that they used on the original release. And then, of course, it's just all the songs. The one, was it 1985, just had no vocals on it at all. So that was kind of weird listening to that. This with no singing at all. And as I'm going through, of course, Jet's on here, which is cool. Actually, that one sounded really good even without the extra stuff in there. That one was just kind of a cool rock song. I just always really liked that song. And, the other songs that I didn't really know that well, because I can't even tell you the last time I listened to this, was kind of fun just listening to them as a song, just basic song. And if it's a good, a lot of musicians will say this and songwriters will say, if you can sit down with just an acoustic and sing it and it sounds good, it's a good song. Well, this is a little bit more than just acoustic and singing. There's a full band, but even just with the basic tracks, these all sounded really good. And even though Picasso's Last Words, which I never really thought about it much until this listen through, why it's called Picasso's Last Words, because vocally I didn't really pay much attention to it as far as the lyrics go, because sometimes the songs don't make a lot of sense. not quite as bad as John Lennon's, but anyway, in this one it was kind of weird because they take parts of the other songs and kind of just throw them in there in the center, and it's almost like a collage, which if you think about Picasso's art, it's kind of like abstract, and that's kind of like how the music was on this one. I'm like, I wonder if that's what his thought process was when he was recording this. That, it's like a audio Picasso. I don't know, but that's kind of like what I got out of it. And then Let Me Roll With It, just a cool song. I didn't realize how good of a song that really is. I mean, I've heard it before, but just sitting here listening to it, man, what a cool song. That's a really good song. And, that's just kind of how that ends. That's that version of the running order ends, whereas Let Me Roll With It's like in the middle of the original. And like Mamunia, I've probably been pronouncing that wrong, I apologize, but that was closer to the top of the running order on the underdubbed version. And so I went back, of course, listened to it, and then of course they threw Hell on Wheels in there, which it's weird knowing that wasn't part of the album. You can hear the recording just does sound completely different, and actually it sounds like extremely underproduced compared to the actual album. I guess that was only meant to be a single, but apparently it did well, and they threw it on the album. So that's about all I really know about this album. Like I said, I'm not huge on Paul McCartney and Wings, but I appreciated this a lot more than I think I would have if I had just popped it in and as a casual listen. I actually sat down and I really enjoyed this a lot more than I thought it was, and made me appreciate the songwriting and just Paul McCartney. I mean, Paul McCartney is definitely not underrated by any means, but it made me appreciate him a little bit more. So I don't know if anybody out there has anything they want to share about this one that maybe I should take another listen to, and or anything that they've experienced from this album, or any stories. As always, feel free to share them down below. Like, share, and subscribe to keep this music alive, because this is the kind of music that I think a lot of us out there still enjoy listening to, and maybe some of the younger generation might enjoy listening to some of these actual structured and created songs instead of being created for them. I mean, I don't know, that's me just babbling, but I guess that's what I do on here. So I'll talk to you guys on the next one. We'll see ya.